Welcome to the desert of the real.
Oh my good God, is it that time again? My name's Tom Fury and this is Zero News. Before we get going, would you please share this out, restream it, do whatever you have to do, but try and get this to as many eyes as possible. It doesn't have to be on this channel. Any channel, just get this out as far as wide as possible. The reason will become more clear as our guests come on tonight and explain things, but the quicker that we can do that and get that rolling, the better. So if you can share that out, would be really, really appreciative of it. So, excuse me. As you guys know, I do like a little bit of history. So it took only 5,000 Welshmen to annoy the British government into a state of war that was declared. Now, which century was this? Well, of course, it was this one. See, before we start today, I thought I should let you know everything that I know about Wales. Now that that's over, I can say that coming up, we're being rejoined by the Voice of Wales, some of a real phenomenon, in as much as they had a growing channel, and still have a growing audience. But really seem to have got the sting just in the right place to annoy the Welsh government and the British government again, which will get the guys to come on and explain. These guys are getting the Tommy Robinson treatment though, but we're here at community here on YouTube, and we're not going to let them disappear, and we're not going to let each other disappear. So I know enough about Britain to know that these fellas are fighting for it, and right now they're paying for it. But they've been gagged, they've been beaten, but they are still the Voice of Wales, and they have some interesting stuff to tell us and bring us up to date on since we last spoke to them, which was, I think that was when they first lost their channel. So I think a lot's happened since then. So let's bring them in, the Voice of Wales. Welcome back to Zero News, my friends. How you doing?
Hello, evening. Thank you very much for having us back on. I just want to say, first of all,
no problem. It's good to have you.
Yeah, I loved your intro.
Thank you. I'll keep adding bits to it. And yeah, I haven't got it quite right yet, but as soon as I get it right, I'll get bored of it and we're on to the next one. So, yeah, it's how it goes. So I've got to go straight to it, right? I had the weirdest Telegram conversation with yourself in terms of I had an 8-minute message, by the way, 8 minutes.
Sorry about that.
I had an 8-minute message, and I actually wouldn't. Let's plunge in the middle. Let's start with that message. Let's start with what you told me in that message, because it's just like it's mind blowing.
Yeah. So, right, is this today's incident in the quadrant?
Yeah.
So this could be massive, and it really could be, because a couple of days ago we were through the Quadrant Centre in Swansea filming, and we were filming all the shops because every shop is closed. Some of them shut for good, some of them never coming back. Big chains as well, not just little businesses like Shoe, saying that we're closed. Debenhams closed.
Wow.
So we're trying to raise awareness about this and showing about the costs of closing the economy. And that was that. So today we went through immediately. One of the, we'll call him a paid thug, security guard, instantly come on to us. Guys, you're going to have to leave your ban for life. So we're like, ban for life? Jesus, what have we done? So it turned out that because we had filmed in the Quadrant Centre, that warrants a ban for life. Now, shoplifters only banned for 3 months. So we had a life ban for filming inside there. We all know that Swansea's Quadrant is the epicenter for all the government top secret information. So that's
MI7.
Either that or it's twinned with the place where the Uyghurs are being inhumanely treated in China. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But it was, what we made. So this security guard told us it was because of filming. We know that obviously bylaws or rules have to be clearly displayed, but they weren't having any of it. So
I would have thought it was just up the road for me. If I got like told not to film somewhere, they would just tell me to piss off and not do it again.
Well, exactly.
Sorry for my language, but
well, my eyesight is dreadful, right? It's absolutely appalling. Stan's isn't great neither. And what it is, you've got the shopping centre, and it's basically like a road. You've got traffic this way and traffic that way. So the laws or the rules are on the opposite side of the oncoming traffic, people. And there's no way on earth I can see them. So my argument was, bylaws are meant to be clearly displayed and accessible for all, and it is clearly displayed. It's not my problem. You've got bad eyes. That was the attitude we had. So it's like, well, hang on a minute now. We're crossing into Disability Act and the Equalities Act here, because I've got bad eyes. It's my problem. Is that what you're saying? So these guys that we're talking to, like I said, they're paid thugs. They're not customer service, legal, phone people.
Yeah, I know that's what you mean.
But the most concerning thing is when we pressed them,
did they know who you were? Did they recognise you straight away?
Well, when we phoned them, it was actually a guy that I know who answered the phone. I don't know whether that was deliberate because we were being followed on CCTV, as they like to do. But the guy came on the phone and he said that's not the only reason that you've been banned. So that's questionable. We've asked
but they didn't tell you they didn't tell you the other reason.
No, we asked them. They told us that they can't tell us. Yeah.
Wow.
So what this seems like, and what my view is on this, is people have been giving them information on us. They want to read, and we've been told by a taxi driver who works for the council today that they're trying to ban us from Swansea Centre. We don't know how much water that holds, but but where's that come from?
Taxi drivers are really accurate with
normally a really good source.
They are very good source for info.
So we think it's Swansea Council. We think Swansea Council or South Wales Police have been lobbying private businesses, Swansea Quadrant Centre, which is why we're banned, because you can't film in a private property. So it would appear that Swansea Council or South Wales Police have been lobbying the Quadrant Centre to ban us from there. And they found something straight away, and that's it. Lifetime ban.
I think it was because I'm wearing this T-shirt. Well, this sweatshirt.
It makes you it makes you wonder because like I say, if I was going down the road do the same thing, honestly, I would just probably get told to pee off and not do it again. Obviously, it's pretty obvious you've got up someone's nose, which again means you've done something right. But to have all eyes on you like that, and to have that kind of reaction. I mean, so you've been banned for 2 reasons, neither of which particularly serious. But the second one you don't even. Well, could be the second one. Could be the second one. Could be murder. You don't know. You're not being told.
Well, exactly. And they said reasons. Yeah. So that's not the only. There's other reasons.
I mean, we can give you some. Hinters and pointers. When we were covering the sex education bill outside the Senedd, after we'd gone, a police sergeant went up to the organisers of the Education Our Way, I say, and said to them, "You don't want to hang about with Voice of Wales. They are really dangerous people.
Really, really dangerous, really bad news." And that's the police. That's South Wales Police getting involved in politics. Yeah. So this is the level that we're going.
Have you met the police there? Have they actually met you?
No, none of them have actually given us the time of day to ask us any questions. They always, this is the charge. What do you have to say about it? We've had no interaction really with
No.
police, have we?
What-
It's just one way.
It just seems like the way that you're talking, it's like the council are on to you. You're being watched. You're being stopped, and there's at the moment rumor, but rumor that you're and this is before we even get to your YouTube channel. Rumor that you're not going to be allowed to go to a certain part of where you live.
Yeah. And it's a main cut through as well. It goes from one, because town is really, it's not laid out well at all.
No.
You've got to walk miles. So the quadrant centre acts as a cut through. You can just cut all the way through and end up at the other end of town. Now, obviously, we're not allowed to do that anymore. But it is, like you said, it's the council. This is a private-owned business. So my point is, we could have a situation here where the council are leaking information, false information, to a private company to persecute us. Now, if we can expose that as true, that's a massive law case, and we are taking it as far.
Because this thing with reasons, and it all sounds a little bit convoluted, doesn't it? Like people are all, unofficially having chats with each other, and
that's exactly what's going on.
If you think, Tom, that the Socialist Republic of Wales is run by commies, it literally is run by commies, and you've got Bridgend, Neath Talbot, you've got Swansea, you've got Newport and Cardiff, and they are all Labour-run councils. You've then got the 3 of the 4 police areas within our remit, because, of course, we've got Penally, which is in Pembroke, and the immigrant camp there. So we run from there right to Newport. My belief, and I come from a Ministry of Defence background, is that there have been top-level talks with the First Minister, which is Drakeford, your chief constables, and also Neil Griffiths, who's the Shadow Secretary of State for Wales, and also Labour.
And Adam Price, leader of Plaid Cymru.
Well, and others as well. And they have made statements over the last 4 or 5 weeks that are scurrilous and without foundation. But they have been backed by the BBC, S4C, and Wales Online. So it's pretty obvious that there has been a concerted effort by somebody, and that concerted effort involves all the arms of government, and also
I was going to say, because if it can drip over that many different, let's say, departments or places, then it's coming from a higher source.
Exactly. And when I used to work in the MOD, we used to have a security briefing on a Monday morning that covered the United Kingdom, and of course we'd go down the list of the most of number 1, which was usually Boko Haram or ISIS, and then you'd go through Afghan, Libya, Syria, Jordan, Nigeria. You go down the list, and then at about number, well, I'll put it this way, when it was Operation Olympics, that was number 6 at one point, but it never went higher than 6. And then, of course, you had Operation Banner in Northern Ireland, etc. So you go down the list, and you'd speak on a weekly basis to government departments so that they knew what was going on. Now, I imagine, I've got no proof, but I imagine that there must be a similar setup in Wales, and that the only people that are a thorn or a pain in the arse, putting it bluntly, to the Welsh government and also the Welsh police services is us. You've got
it does seem like you're the fly in the ointment.
Yeah. And we've done nothing more than tell the truth as we see it.
Highlight the things that we're seeing going on, the things that are the massive decisions that are being made by the government in Wales that the public don't even know about.
Yeah.
There's so many things, like, the nation of sanctuary, that's doors open. We saw what happened when that, Merkel did that for Germany. You know, that's Wales now. So there's not going to be any such thing as a failed asylum seeker in Wales. They're all just going to be given whatever they want, I suppose.
Yeah.
16-year-olds voting. Oh, and these illegal immigrants, by the way, who've been welcomed in the nation of sanctuary, they're going to give them the vote as well.
They're doing everything they can to smash our countries to pieces, aren't they?
Yeah.
And watch this space, and we'll highlight it on your program first. That the hate speech laws in Scotland will come down to Wales.
Yeah.
They will introduce them in Wales, and it will not be on any Labour Party manifesto. But we've seen how dictatorial Drakeford is, because, of course, he wanted to ban all males going outside after 6 p.m. at night.
Yeah,
and still does. And still does.
Yeah.
Jesus. Okay, so let's hold that thought, because we've got to come back to this. But let's do a little Back to the Future. Can you I can't do the effects for the screen, so just imagine, right? But let's do one back in time. So you guys lost your channel. Everybody's been rampaging looking for you since. I've been getting death threats and stuff. Where are they? You know. But no, people have been looking for you since. People have been legitimately asking after you. And again, Dan, you said something to me the other day again, which was, well, not shocking. I don't know what the word is, but turned the whole thing on its head again. So again, do you guys want to talk us through what's happened since then and the position that you're in and why we're trying to get this video out as far and wide as possible?
Yeah. So YouTube, we were banned, obviously. We were banned we found out the circumvention of technologies. Now, the reason why they banned us is because we were on a ban already for a week, and we set up a new account, which they saw it as a way of bypassing the ban. So we can understand that. We didn't know that it was any sort of offense, so we'd lose our channel. Otherwise, we wouldn't have done it. It would be pointless. But now YouTube have actually come back to us regarding the original video that we were on a week ban for, admitting they got it wrong, saying that it's a mistake, holding their hands up basically and apologizing for their errors.
The irony,
just to be clear, this the same video that got your channel taken down.
Yeah. So, and this is the irony, Tom. What happened was Antifa complained about the gratuitous violence on the video that we showed, which was Antifa.
Yeah, it was Black Lives Matter in London. So they were reporting their own.
Wow.
They were reporting their own antics in London, but it was BBC footage.
Yeah.
You can't write it.
You
can't make this up, can you? So after they'd looked at it and they saw that it was BBC footage, they then had to come back to us and apologise.
Yeah.
So that was
Holy
lifted.
cow.
In the meantime, the BBC and S4C and Lowther, Gwyn Lowther and Wales Online all pointed. See, we were right. They were the bogeymen.
Yeah.
They've been banned. This racist channel has been banned.
Yeah.
And of course, we haven't. We're going through an appeals section. And we put that quite clearly to Lowther in a statement to them.
Loader.
Gwyn
Loader.
But nevertheless, they printed what they wanted to print
As they
anyway.
do.
Yeah.
Because they do.
Absolutely. But it's even progressed again since.
So have you lost your at this stage now? Have you lost your channel? Is it still being fought over? What's the score? Because really, you'd think they'd go, "Whoa, take down the wrong video. Sorry, here's your channel back."
Yeah,
we're all good.
So it's been really difficult to get in touch with them. So what's happened is the day we had the email notifying us the channel was gone, they give us a link and they said, "Follow this link if you wish to appeal," which we did. Put all the information in, sent it off. We had an automated message come back. "Thank you for your appeal. We'll review it and get back to you in 2 working days." Then they send another automated email, which basically says, "Hi, I'm sorry to hear you think we've made the wrong decision. If you'd like to make an appeal, click here." And it takes you back to the form that you originally done. And we're just stuck in a loop. We can't. There's no contact number, no email address. There's no way of contacting them. That's the only way. We tried the legal team. They wouldn't. They said because of coronavirus, they're not allowed to deal with anything other than legal. So we may be speaking to them soon anyway. But then you had a copyright team who said exactly the same thing. We can't speak to you. It's not about copyright. So we've now taken to Twitter, and that's the only option we've had. They did come back to us because I didn't give them any information. I just said, this, we've having a problem with the system. We're trying to put an appeal through. We keep on getting bounced back. Can you have a look at it? And then, yeah, no problem. We'll check it out. Can you give us some more details? Yes, we're Voice of Wales. This is our link. This is that, and that. So they've replied to us now. So we're dealing with a person. So we haven't had it back today. We haven't heard from them today. I've checked it up because apparently from yesterday morning up until now is too long. Still not enough time to check an email that they have sent. So I don't know what's going on. Are they kicking the can down the road, hoping that we stop and give up?
But Dan's like a little boy because every 10 minutes he's looking at his phone.
Yes, bastard.
Yeah. I am. I can't. I'm missing all the other notifications.
So is it like that? Is it a case of going? Shit, are we back on yet? Are we back on, or are you?
Yeah.
I think we're at that stage, Tom. I think that they've got not a leg to stand on, and that there's going to be some blowback on Lowther and S4C and BBC, because once we've gone through the appeal system and we're back online, then we're going to ask for a retraction.
Demand.
Demand a retraction.
You're entitled to that, aren't you? If they get it that wrong.
That's called justice, that, Tom. But do you know the BBC at all?
they'll have
that's true. That's true. But you know how they do? They might do you a backhanded sort of, apology or something. You know how it works.
Now, the good thing is that hopefully, if we do get our channel back, that will be another boom. I hope. And then we won't need Wales Online or BBC to do a retraction because we'll put it out there to people who actually listen to our news. Yeah. Rather than chuck out, because that's all they do. They chuck enough shit hoping some of it sticks.
Yeah. And this is the irony, Tom, that when we go out and the police descend on us, what you're doing, and you're not proper journalists, and
every time we go out,
can we see your badges? So we show them the badges.
You're not proper journalists. I still don't understand this.
Yeah. But you're not accredited. You see, and they come out with all this, and then they say, well, it's not essential. But then on the same day, you then get the BBC in a cop car taking a picture of PC Plod patrolling an empty car park or an empty beach.
Yeah. It's the
but they're government regulated, so they're all right, Jack.
Yeah.
Well, the latest one being that the police are allowed to go to gyms, but you and I aren't. Did you hear that one?
There is 3 gyms. Gyms are all closed in Wales. There's people I know who own gyms, boxing gyms, stuff like that. There's people I know who competitively fight. They aren't able to train, but the police have been given access to 3 gyms that they can use.
Holy crap!
You can't make this. You literally can't make it up.
You can't. You could sit there and you could try and do 1984 number 2, and you wouldn't get it.
I equate it to Animal Farm because, of course, the people at the top of the pecking order were the pigs.
Yeah.
But the thing is, what they don't realise is that we were set up to expose all of this. So by doing what we say they do to us, they're just exposing us as correct. So, the more they throw at us, the more they're hanging themselves.
It seems like maybe due to the size of the channel, maybe due to something else. Maybe they, not maybe. If this goes the right way, it seems that they've completely underestimated you and wrong slip. And if that is the case, I mean, what an opportunity for a bit of a black eye.
Well, again, Tom, today, we were doing some filming in the bit of Swansea that we're not banned from yet, and
the police station.
The police station.
Maybe residents if they have a way.
And this chap patted Dan on the back and said, "You're doing all right, lads. Keep it up.
Keep the good work.
And then another one came up and said, he said, I watched that BBC takedown of you. He said, now I immediately went to try and find your channel. I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah.
So
I tell you what, free advertising, and you think of the amount of disgruntled people that put on the BBC and go, they're speaking some truth. Jesus, I haven't heard that in years.
Yeah,
so,
can you imagine, Tom? You can imagine the desk and they first of all send out this very very succinct email saying, we've got some dirt on you, we're going to expose you. Do you want to give us a statement? And it was basically that with a couple of details in. So we had to give them a statement. And they must have been rubbing their hands thinking, oh, we've got them. Yeah. We've got them.
Yeah.
And suddenly between Saturday, because it came out on the Thursday.
Yeah, no, Wednesday,
Thursday, then the Thursday, then the Friday.
Well, they cancelled the Friday.
Oh, they
were supposed to play it Friday morning as well, but they must have thought, shit, pull a plug.
So if you get your channel back. Sorry, go on.
Over the weekend, we went from 5,000 to 10,000 viewers. So it had the absolute opposite effect. And at that point, that's when YouTube pulled us.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the thing is that's why they're so afraid of letting people watch you, because they know that people given a choice of their own, no matter how badly they try and smear you, will always make up their own mind, and they can't stand that because they're going to come and watch you.
Yeah.
I was watching Richard Inman on with Danny in that last night. And they were just having I don't think they pre-advertised a stream or anything, and they were knocking on the same numbers as ITV was on one of their streams. I was just doing them side by side, and I'm like, that was a casual stream for Danny, and you know, so it does make a big difference. But are there? I mean, I make a joke of it, but I really am dumb when it comes to your part of the country. Are there really not that many other activists doing what you're doing in the way that you're doing there?
There's a few. There are a few. So I'd say the main one in Wales would be Base Welshman. Obviously he's done loads. He goes everywhere. He covers a lot.
Yeah.
Obviously he's friends with Simon.
Yeah.
But then you've got Paz, who's Welsh. He doesn't live in Wales. So he isn't, active outside the assembly buildings and the council buildings and stuff like that, and the police, like we are. But other than that, it is literally just us, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And Base Welshman will freely admit he does a different. He's an
activist.
He's an activist. He does a different thing to us. Whereas,
So what would you call yourselves then?
Yeah. So I mean, it was excellent today. We were outside the police station, and a cop car came around the corner, and as soon as he saw us, he was on the radio.
Yeah.
Wow. So what would you guys call yourselves then, if not activists?
Journalists.
So you're full on. That's because obviously I haven't seen everything that you've done or do. So for you, it's a full on journalist route.
Yeah. Impartial journalism, and it is. We spotted, and this is quite a worrying thing in itself. We spotted a gap in the market for an honest journalist team in Wales.
Yeah,
there just wasn't anything out there as a journalist team. We've covered things like disability access on local streets. Little council issues, little bitty things, and we've done that for a long time. Fishing, loads and loads of different types of stories. But now, obviously, these stories that we're covering are ones they don't want people to know about. So it's, we're a registered business now as well. So we are taking, this is serious. This is our job, and this is going to be our livelihood.
And the greatest accolade was from Katie Hopkins when she said that when she comes down to Swansea, and she will do, that she's going to go into Wales Online to see if they're all wearing slippers and nightgowns, because they certainly don't come out and do journalism.
Well, they didn't. Basically, when Wales Online got in touch with us, they said, "Do you want to give a statement?" And basically, they just printed word for word what the BBC had said, and they included a tad bit more of our statement. Our statement was, 3 big paragraphs long. They read out like 1 sentence. So
that sounds about right.
Yeah. The muddle of it all.
Yeah.
Jesus.
I mean, it's the only place in the world where you can be called, and this is true, by a counsellor in a public forum, a vile racist bigot, and threaten to punch us in the faces.
I told that everybody who watch our videos are stupid. Yeah. If anyone's stupid enough to watch their videos.
So that's what that's what she came out with. I wrote a press release.
We're talking about like your 5-year-olds.
Yeah. I wrote a press release. That press release was flipped completely upside down, and it was Black Lives Matter. Councillor defends Black Lives Matter.
And Brand's YouTube group via racist bigots.
And Brand's. So they turned it completely around. And at that point, that's when we changed from Leavers of Swansea to Voice of Wales, because we knew that nobody on the right of Jeremy Corbyn will actually get an equal, a good shot at the dice.
Yeah, which seems unfortunately to be, well, not unfortunately, but seems to be often majorities, just not very loud ones, which is a problem everywhere. So, okay, so I don't know. I don't want to jinx you guys. So there's from where you're at now, there's a possibility you're going to get your channel back. Well, if all things were equal. If all the wood's cut the right length.
Well, exactly. YouTube have got and this is what I said to Stan. Like I said, we are out to expose everything that we see. So, I'd see us as collateral damage, I suppose. Yeah. Because, we will spend a lot of time building a channel, knowing at the start that we're going to lose it eventually. But the point is that all that work led to, they think, we've taken down all of their hard work, and they haven't. They've just made us even bigger again. People messaging, people trying to find out where we are.
Absolutely, yeah, and there really has been a wash of people trying to find out where you were. I mean, I saw it myself. People had emails coming through me. Oh, where are they? I was like, I don't know.
Yeah. The thing is, right, and this is what I was saying, because we want to expose this stuff anyway, if YouTube have got a chance to do something right or do something wrong, which we win anyway, because we've put all the proof online. The only difference is, obviously with, like, for example, Tommy, I think this is their benchmark. Now, they want to make sure that no one has a platform that big, again, who's spreading the messages. So they're trying to preempt
the Tommy treatment early.
Yeah, they want to get us out the way first of all. So even though YouTube's admitted we've done nothing wrong, are they going to do what's right and allow us back on, or are they just going to double down and say no?
Yeah,
that's going to be the really interesting question.
Yeah.
In the small print, Tom, it says that you can be taken off air for no reason.
Yeah, for no reason. But basically, I can't remember the exact words to use. I remember seeing it. It's just basically, if we want to take you off, we'll take you off. No reason.
Yeah. Right,
we don't even have to tell you.
Yeah.
We don't even have to tell you. Oh, and by the way, you'll lose all your videos. We don't have to give you time to back them up or anything. Just
exactly. Yeah. Luckily, we had people backing the videos up all along.
Yeah.
So it's good because, like I said, we knew this was coming. We've been searching other platforms for quite a while now, which is, even though it's been a long process getting them all up and running, we're lucky that we started looking into them beforehand, because we'd be even further behind.
And we've got brilliant mods as well.
We've got a super team.
We've got absolutely super team, and people wanting to jump in and help us as well.
Yeah.
So we are very, very fortunate, and it's only because I believe that we're not afraid, if we get it wrong, to apologise, and we're not afraid to try and get to the truth.
Yeah.
And from different angles, the truth is different. And we want to give a perspective from the right, because there is no other perspective. The Labour Party put in a press release Wales Online print it verbatim.
Yeah.
And that's wrong. And we've seen that with the sex education in Wales, where even the most basic and fundamental question, why would you want to give a child from birth sexual rights if it's not for people with
adults,
paedophilia intentions?
Absolutely.
Why would you want to give kids from the age of 3 the knowledge about masturbation, and from the age of 10 bondage, anal sex, and other perversions?
It stinks of desensitization to me.
Absolutely, Tom.
And then not only that, parental rights as well. So as a parent, you don't have a right to opt a child out, and if you do, you could be reported, because it's the child has that right from birth. But interestingly, this is something, and this popped into my head the other day. There's a massive problem with FGM in Wales. There's I haven't got the figures on the top of my head now, but I know that the figure I have got on the top of my head is the amount of prosecutions, and that's because it's 0. There's been none. Now, we know why FGM happens and why the reasoning behind it. So are the Labour government, who put this sexual right law into place, going to now start prosecuting the people they're depending on for votes? So they're opening cans of worms all over the place.
They are. And again, you've got a protected people, and by even raising this female genital mutilation, you're branded as racist. No, we want to protect the child.
It's the same principle as I always say that the left are, they'll see a mouse in the middle of the road and they'll dive on the mouse to save it, cause a 10-car pile up and kill everybody in every single car and go, I saved the mouse though. And it's the mentality. It's the mentality, and I see the same things all over again. And so with your channel, I mean, you would have thought that the common sense thing would have been, especially where you were like just growing, would have been to leave them alone, because the chances of, if you look at the average for YouTube channels, right? How many YouTube channels go boom? How many YouTube channels are like the Viagra needing erection? They just never quite get there. That I'm not saying that would have happened to you, but it could have happened to any channel that's coming up. They guaranteed you success. So you've done, because from my understanding, you pretty much tried to do everything right. You've tried to do from the journalism to the paperwork, so everything you've done, you've tried to seek permission where possible. You've tried to do everything right in order to be able to do an alternative news.
Even getting permission from the Welsh Assembly government to travel and report as journalists,
which is huge. Which is huge. So I might even have to come and ask you advice at some point. But so you've done all these things right. And here's the thing: is independent journalism was, up until not very long ago, considered to be a noble pursuit, because it's the art of journalism without the need to toe the line with any particular body. I mean, it's a real noble pursuit. As people call it, citizen journalism, although that's not what you're doing, and I appreciate that. Is looked at as an excuse to go out and try to cause trouble with the camera. I don't see a lot of that happening though. I do see some of it. I do get it. There are some agitators, but there are agitators with footballs, fishing nets, and golf balls. Do you know what I mean? There's going to be, but it's you're actually legitimately putting out a product out there. I'm assuming with the amount of effort you're putting into this, you're obviously doing your research, your fact checking, stuff like that. Otherwise, you wouldn't be this far into it. So what exactly is it that you've done wrong?
spoke the truth.
It's literally that.
It is.
You know, the Welsh government, they have had no opposition for so long, none whatsoever. They've been able to pass all these things through the back door without anyone kicking off about it. There's so many people that don't know there's elections coming up in May. They don't know who a first minister is or what they do. They don't even know about evolution. You know, there's a lot of people who are completely oblivious to it all. And the Labour government are really exploiting that, because they're gerrymandering the vote. They're giving it to children who are just left the indoctrination process of school. They're giving it to foreign nationals who they've just given a nation of sanctuary to. You know, so they're gerrymandering the vote, but they're doing it because people aren't, they don't see it. They don't know about it.
Yeah.
And we were highlighting that. And you've seen what happens if you try to interfere with communist election fraud. You see, you know where that goes. You know, they're gonna do everything they can to shut you down.
Yeah.
You know,
So,
we know what they're
you
about.
are actually going to be, you're going to be quite a prime target, to be honest, aren't you? It's not about It's not about numbers. It's about ability and what you've got the ability to be and do.
Yeah.
And you represent actually. Well, I mean, just take all away everything else. Just eyes and ears on the ground in the place where they don't want eyes and ears on the ground. Just take away everything else. Just that. Just the fact that you've got someone that can show a completely different narrative just by being there.
Yeah.
Let alone before you start carrying into the stories and everything.
Yeah.
So incredible. And yet you'd think people like the BBC or whatever else, again, what you wouldn't think it really would welcome the competition in as much as you shouldn't be competition. If they're doing their jobs right, you wouldn't be competition, would you?
There shouldn't be competition in journalism.
No.
The only competition there should be in journalism is who gets the story first.
Yeah.
Good old-fashioned journalism, you know.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
that's the competition.
Whatever.
Yeah. But we are doing this for all the right reasons, because we've had many big stories that affects Wales that could have broke ourselves, and it would have been a big hit for Voice of Wales maybe. But we've gone, right, we need to get this to someone with a massive following. So we'd give it to some, you know, like, I don't know, a political party or something like that. Someone who's got a massive following. So we'll happily give stories away. We don't do this for fame. Trust me, we don't do this for fame because
money,
because we don't get either really. But you know, when I lost my job back in, it's coming up to a year now. It's coming up to a year in April. So I lost my job back in April with the COVID and redundancies and all that stuff. And you know, at that point, I was, you know, we were just not coming up with Brexit, but you know, we were looking for things to do. Black Lives Matter was just taking off. So we thought, you know, obviously you're retired. I all of a sudden got a lot more spare time. Let's do it. Let's commit. And we've committed. And, you know, it has come at a big cost.
Yeah.
You know, we've lost, you know, family members arguing, you know, BBC, you know, my partner's mum ringing her, you know, I think, you know, I think you need to know something, you know, the Daniel's on the news, you know, all them little things, you know, the Indian corner, the guy.
People don't realise this part of it, do they?
You know, yeah, my neighbours. I've got neighbours either side of me, you know, and they would have seen it. Are they thinking, Jesus Christ, you know, I got a Union Jack flying in my garden, you know, another far right symbol of Ireland, you know what I mean? So you've got the damages that it's causing is, you know, it's intentional because it'll stop a lot of people. See, you know, we've got nothing to lose.
No, what you've got, Tom, is they've tried to on VE Day last year. Dan went out with a cigar and a Union flag, and he did a pose of Winston Churchill, and of course that went to the left. They then researched his address, his landlord, his neighbours, and they sent. They tried to damage him. Yeah. The same thing happened to me, and they expect you to just crawl under a stone, and when you don't, then of course they start to label you. Yeah. And of course it really, really upsets them when you're best mates with Danny Roscoe. Yeah. Or in fact Khalil or
Khalil, Danny Roscoe, the equaliser. Yeah, and he knows it, which is even better.
And the funny thing is that we know that Antifa watch our program, and they were making the most racist and vile statements to him.
Yeah.
He was a race traitor, all sorts of things. We won't go into it, but the point is that they try to label you, and it's the sheeple that listen and then think that must be true because the BBC said it. But the BBC and S4C, they even sort of did these little mini adverts beforehand.
Yeah, a warning.
And they had an explicit warning.
God.
Yeah.
This might upset the woke.
Yeah, it didn't say that.
It didn't say that, but.
Oh, Danny Roscoe. Hello, Danny.
Hi, Danny.
I didn't know you was on, Danny. How are you? Yeah, but it was like
the Dark Destroyer.
I think, this was when we got the left, because there's a lot of groups in Wales. You've got Far Right Watch Wales, No to Race Hate Swansea, Stand Up to Racism Wales, Stand Up to Racism Swansea. And there's so many of these massive left-wing pressure groups that we were getting messages. I think my favorite one was, I hope you get a rare and exotic disease, then you die suffering slowly, and your grandfather should have garroted you with his bayonet. And these are the tolerant people now that everyone should be like and act like and behave like. So it's really funny. But the doxing one, that was the one, because they were sending us messages. So it was like, how long's it been since your mother worked here? And then they give my landlord name. Think about this. Oh, are you still living at this address, are you? Things like that. And you'd have the police then, who know about this, saying, oh, if you get any problems, let us know. No. If anyone comes to my door, I won't be needing you to deal with it. I tell you that. You know what I mean? But they think that they get in somewhere, and every time they do something, they think this is it. We've got them this time. This is it.
Yeah.
But when you've taken away everything from someone, they're a very dangerous person.
I mean, if
we've got nothing to lose.
That's what I wanted to ask you, and it's a serious question because this is what I was going to say is obviously that. Forget size of channel and everything else. Your prime targets, and that they're not going to be frightened to spend a few quid on you. What? Not what. I don't know how to phrase this properly, so please bear with me. I know that you're serious about journalism. How serious are you about this? And what I mean by that is, how far are you prepared to go? How much are you prepared to lose?
Yeah, well, Danny. I've spoken to Danny quite a bit, and I said to him, and I've said to you as well, this sort of movement, the good thing has happened is there was a lot of people going back 5 years, something like that, that wanted to do this sort of thing for the fame. They wanted to be the face of YouTube and get a lot of likes and shares and all this sort of thing. We don't want that. What's happened over the last 5 years is that the people who were doing it for the fame have all whittled out. And what you've got left now is a strong core of people who are compelled to do what they need to do. Now, if I had a choice, I wouldn't be doing this. I wouldn't have to do this. The difference is I've got children. They're going to have children. My friends have got children and grandchildren. And there's nothing that I wouldn't do for my kids. And I feel it's our duty to make sure that the future's left behind is a good future. And what I'm seeing at the moment is the way it's going is absolutely horrendous. So, like I said to Danny, and Danny said a number of times, unless you're prepared to go the whole distance, don't get involved in this sort of movement, because you're going to be having police at your door. You're going to be arrested. You're going to be fined. You're going to have the councils coming for you. You're going to be doxxed. You're going to get bullied. You're going to get all that stuff coming at you. Yeah. But at the end of the day, unless you're in front of a judge, none of it means anything.
No,
because they can come and intimidate me all they want, but let's go to court and let's deal with it there, because nothing will happen.
I mean, the point is that we want to see honest politics in Wales, and we haven't got that. People vote Labour, but they didn't vote Labour to bring the age of consent, as far as we know, down, and yet the education system is looking as though that's going to happen, and we're gonna end up in a situation where children of 11, 12, 13, 14 are going to be having sex, they're going to be raped, and there's going to be no prosecutions. And that's my fear. But also, you've got the age of voting come down from 18 to 16. No consent again. It's not gone through a manifesto. You've got the nation of sanctuary, and Swansea is a city of sanctuary, and so is Cardiff, and so is Newport. That's never been to a vote, and so you're getting parties that are standing on invisible manifestos.
Yeah. So as well as sorry. Sorry, say again.
Yeah, that's wrong. We've got to have honest politics. If you are elected for 5 years or 4 years, and you've put 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, a bit like Donald Trump did, and then he did 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. That's honesty.
Yeah. They should be accountable for it. Surely there should be something in place, because these MPs are elected on what they say, or AMs are elected on what they say. Now, if they don't do what they say, surely they need to be accountable for that. And surely they shouldn't be allowed to just do what they want to do, because they're representatives of the people. You know, they're not the be all and end all and the rulers of the people. They're
we're the rulers of them, supposedly.
Absolutely, but it's not like that in Wales. These politicians in Wales, I could count on 3 fingers, and there'd still be some spare on how many politicians there are in Wales.
Do you think there's suppression of news between England and Wales?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Both ways?
Yeah, probably. I would say the suppression of news coming into Wales. Basically, when coronavirus all started, you had all the people in Wales blaming Boris Johnson for the lack of PPE. You know, not understanding that the NHS is the Welsh NHS. It's run by a Welsh Labour government. It's nothing to do with Boris. So, and the Labour government know that, because they blame Boris, because they know that the people don't know how it works.
Yeah.
So they literally treat people like idiots.
And so, from your point of view, is this particular area in Wales, is this I mean, bear in mind, I don't know what it looks like where you live or anything. So is this like the perfect place to? I'm just trying to think of some places I would know down my end of the country, which are, you can get some places where there's a lot of square miles of not a lot, and my point being is you could get away with a lot as a government there. Is it one of those places where law can be changed, messed with, or things can be changed and messed with, kind of under the carpet kind of style? You know, is that what's already happening?
Absolutely. When you've got a shoe-in for the next elections, and the shoe-in is that Labour's going to win, that's what the pundits predict, and yet you've got 6 of the 7 area health boards in special measures. And we're the worst NHS in the United Kingdom. You've got morbidity rates in some areas where the average death age is 62. You've got some of the worst.
Wow.
You've got some of the worst impoverished cases in Wales within Europe, and that includes the old East Europe. When you've got the education system that's failed, and it's now the 5th year where it's come bottom of the table in I think it's in 12 of the European states. It's that low down, and yet people are still voting Labour. How does that work if you've not got BBC Wales, ITV Wales, Wales Online, and S4C in cahoots with the Welsh government, Labour government? It couldn't happen anywhere else, and that's why we are dangerous.
So I know we sort of spoke about part of this, but sorry, I'm just trying to figure out how to reword this. And you just said your government is you're dangerous because of that reason.
We've actually got an ineffective opposition, and that's the problem as well. In the case of,
can you say that again, mate? Sorry.
We've got an ineffective opposition. In the case of Westminster, you've got Labour nipping at the heels of Boris. In the case of Wales, you've got nobody except for UKIP.
Yeah.
And UKIP is a lone man at the moment. So you've, and in fact, was it a month ago where you had Labour and Tory members of the Assembly drinking together in a lockdown?
It was when I'm sure it was on the night that they closed the pubs.
Yeah.
You know, they stayed open.
So what has happened? I mean, I know this is a lot of things, but what's happened to put your part of the country into this state? Because there's a lot of layers of things going on there. The things that you've talked about, there's a lot of layers, as usual. You know, from council to government level, the same things that we see in other areas, but different sort of things. It sounds like a Scandinavian leftist paradise, to be honest.
It's a nightmare.
Yeah, Jason Bourne's just put it on the nail on the head. Devolution.
Yeah, the problem is that that even the king, in I think it was about 1921, came to Wales and he was shocked to see kids running around in bare feet and starving. And he said, then we need to do something. And we've had 100 years actually of socialism in Wales. Yeah. And just like the Chinese communists in China, where first of all, it was the People's Army, and they showed people collecting grain and bread and that, and they've realised that it doesn't work, and so they've stopped now pushing that narrative. They're now pushing capitalism, but they don't call it capitalism.
No.
But in Wales, people are still. You can still pick up conversations of, I don't like Churchill because he sent the troops in to fire upon the miners. That was 100 years. That was when we needed the coal to deal with the war effort. And desperate times call for desperate measures. But it was ingrained. And the Arthur Scargills are still here in Wales, living off past borrowed time.
Yeah, but they are still there.
Absolutely, they're living on past times, and it's time now that people started thinking for themselves instead of coming to the door and saying, "Oh no, my mother voted Labour." Yeah, but your mother's sadly passed away.
Just go back to the 80s. Labour is a different party from the 80s.
It's a different party.
Labour used to represent the working man. Now it represents everything other than the British person.
Yep. Yes, yeah. You know, see, you've gone from YouTube channel to actually what should be, if you weren't on the far right, meaning right. This would actually be a story, a big story, because it's David and Goliath story. Do you know what I mean? And good chance to win. It would actually be a newsworthy story on its own. Yeah. And I'm kind of wonder where this is going to end up for you guys, because I think I'd love to see you get back on YouTube again, because I honestly think you're going to grow so much. I mean, I've not seen many people chased across social media like you have been. That's a good thing as well about taking something good that people like away. But what the question I was going to ask you was, with this kind of reaction, which is, must be awesome, come on, but with this kind of reaction, does that give you hope about the people that you're living side by side with, you know, in your country, in your part of the country?
Well, I personally think that people need to take it as a warning because, like you said, you know, we only had 5,000 subscribers. Yeah, the videos got a lot of views, but they were covering, you know, we were on 5 continents. We did a little test and we asked people where they were from just to get an idea, and it was global. You know, we had followers global. So even though it was 5,000 subscribers, they weren't all from Wales. Never mind Britain, you know. So if we just said that, I don't know, 3,500, 4,000 of them even were from Wales, there's 4,000 people out of 3.2 million. Now, if we only step that much out the line, and this is what we're faced with, every authority is coming at us, all private businesses, security guards, bouncers, everything is being thrown at us. And that's with 4,000 or 5,000 subs. So if you want to have an idea of what it's like living in Wales, that's what happens if you step out the line and actually tell people what the government is doing.
Thing is, though, you're stood, it seems like you got a match in your hands and it's lit, and you're stood in like the driest Australian bush, you know, and all you got to do, it seems like you're those guys. It's like, well, we've only got 5,000 subscribers, well, 10,000, whatever you were on. We're only there, but oh dear, we've just dropped the match. And it seems like like you're almost at that point. And so I can't really want you to get your YouTube channel back, because I honestly think it. So yeah, sorry, but I keep getting excited myself. So the point being is that would then actually legitimize you as a newsworthy source. Yeah. It would legitimize you as a news source. It would obviously get you more exposure and stuff like that. It would actually be a really cool way to kind of, I mean, it will never be ending, but it'd be a cool way to kind of end it, wouldn't it? If it to come out that way, because you've got the free advertising already. You've got
we've got the loyalty as well. We've got the loyalty, Tom, as well. But just to highlight one thing, we in Swansea, it's known as Brown Town, and it's Brown Town because of the proliferation of heroin. Now, what an epitaph to have as a Swansea council! What an epitaph to have, Brown Town. And all Rob Stewart, the council leader, can do is to say, but look at this golden turd that I've built, which will show you now, which is a bridge. And it's apparently a deconstructed swan.
And you thought Emperor Nero was mad, didn't you? Nah.
Yeah, well, exactly. So we've got the worst crime figures. We've got the worst crime figures in the country.
Wow.
We've got, and all they can do is keep pointing to this golden turd that he's building, and it's in construction and has cost an arm and a leg. And we'll never ever, it'll be like the national debt because it costs that much. And that's all he can do. And that's why we're dangerous, because we're pointing out the fact that we've got veterans sleeping on our streets, but we can house asylum seekers in hotels.
You're painting a picture of Wales which is honest, but it's also it's extremely damning as well, because it seems like a lot of the skullduggery, because of the way the government that is there, it seems like the skullduggery from Westminster could be done there as well. So it's like, yes, do it all there. It seems like it seems like you're right in that. It's like those when they're trying to build those train lines and the Indians in the way. You're those Indians in the way at the moment, aren't you?
Yeah, that's exactly it. That is exactly it. It's the fact that there's something getting in the way of their plans, and
Yeah.
that's what we
Yeah.
really can't stand. So that's the bridge behind us. I've just changed it now, but that's what everyone's doing about it. So it's that bridge, but like Stan said, it's the artist. So it's basically it's honouring all things from Swansea, all things Welsh. It was designed by someone in Brussels, obviously, and apparently it's a deconstructed swan, like Stan just said. You know, so it costs millions.
Yeah, so it's a deconstructed swan. So you walk through the parson's nose and go out the arse.
Yeah. Unbelievable. Yeah.
I was going to go else. I just don't know now.
It's honestly, it's unbelievable. We half of the stuff we say, people think we're making it up. And that's it's so unbelievable.
Yeah. I mean,
I'll give you. Sorry.
I'll give you a scenario now. So you want to move from where you are, and you want to move across the road, and you know how many people need to move into that building across the road. So what Swansea Council have done is they've purchased a building, and they're going to house all the council people in it, and they've put a costing down for it. And then they realise, after they've spent all the money on purchasing the land, that it's not big enough. And also it's riddled with asbestos. And the very basics of is the place large enough? Have we got enough parking? Is there any issues with the land? They've done none of that, and so we're now in a budget where we own a plot of land that's riddled with asbestos. It's cost thousands of pounds overboard, and this is just one item on a list of many items that they don't want out in the public domain.
Yeah, it honestly, listen to you guys. It doesn't sound like a country. It sounds like a badly run parking lot.
Well, exactly, Tom. It's a badly...
the people who would run a parking lot that we've actually got running the country.
Yeah,
they are professionals in the field.
Yeah,
we've got the education minister who used to be a librarian. The first minister of Wales, who used to be a
probation officer,
and his son is currently in prison for rape. And this is the man who's just told that all men need to be locked up, or he's not going to rule out the curfew for men after 6 p.m. because they're a danger to women. Well, Mr. Mark Drakeford, don't judge all us men by your son's standards.
Yeah, by your son's standards.
Yeah. You can't make it up. Can't make it up.
And then
you literally can't.
Yeah, and then you put a layer of family members also being employed by them, and you've then got. I won't say the word that begins with C and ends with N, but you've got a lot of, let's say, eye-watering and eye-opening people in the Senedd, and uncles and aunties and brothers and sisters are all involved.
Yeah. Was that word C and ends in eruption? But you're absolutely right. You've got politicians paying their other half. So, for example, this is a perfect example, and this is what started this all off with Swansea Council. There's the woman who's the proposer for the Black Lives Matter naming everything in Swansea, Louise Gibbard. So it looks like she claims from. So remember now, if you've got a full-time job, say for example, me and my partner have got a full-time job. She gets pregnant and has a baby. When it comes to childcare after it, you've either got to work full-time and all of your wage, because you're looking at about £800 a month for childcare, full-time childcare in Wales. So if you've got a full-time job, all your wage is going on that, or you're going to give up having a job and spend the time with your child. You don't have that luxury. These councillors who are on what? How much? 40,000, maybe more. they're claiming on their expenses for childcare. So these councillors, but when they're claiming on these expenses for childcare, they could easily be paying their partner to look after their child while they're in the other room preparing for the meeting the next day. So it's unbelievable. You know, this councillor is paying, and she put it on the statement, didn't she? She pays for childcare so she can get on with doing her work, preparing for the next day.
At home.
She's at home when she's paying for this childcare, and that childcare could be a nan, a dad, a husband. You know, and she's claiming £45 a day. You know, for childcare.
Wow.
And me and my partner have to make a decision which one of us is going to give up work so we can look after.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
You know,
like most people have to all have to do, and take a severe kicking for it.
Yeah.
It's incredible. That is absolutely incredible. Are we broken up? Are you there? Oh no, you're there.
No, I can hear you. We can hear you.
When we said, why don't all the AMs take a furlough pay? In other words, 80% of the wage. They immediately threw their hands up and said, "Oh, it's an independent pay body."
Yeah. we don't decide that.
Yeah, we don't decide that. However, you could have voluntarily given you 20%.
Yeah.
But they didn't.
No, they didn't. They actually had a pay rise, didn't they?
They've got a pay rise because it's independent. Who sits on the independent panel?
Council. It's like, Stan, should we have a pay rise?
Well, why not?
Yeah, there we are. Done. Decision made.
Yeah.
You know,
there's nothing corrupt about that.
No. Of course not. It's like the police and crime commissioner, who's an ex-Labour man.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Well, you got the guy that came here. I can't remember his name, but he was in charge of Rotherham when all the grooming was going on. He then came to Swansea, and grooming went on the rise. No prosecutions. And then he's now been promoted to a top job in London. Yeah. This is the man that's just basically oversaw the rape of God knows how many children.
Well, he certainly knew about it because he was a top officer.
Yeah.
But the point is that on his way out of South Wales, he actually wrote a post in Wales Online and said, the drug epidemic has, we can't police it, so therefore I think we should have shooting galleries.
Yeah,
that's not his job to surmise on socialism. It's his job to lay the law and prosecute.
Yeah, is
it not?
What on earth is going on? So from your again, I think if I've asked this, I'm going to ask this to everyone. From your observations, from what you're seeing, are you currently fighting a lost cause, or is it just a case of it? So is it one of those things where are you in a place of a silent majority that needs to be vocalized, or are you in a place where you're the minority?
Well, I like to think that we are definitely
on
a
the
voice
rise
of the silent majority. I think my problem is whether or not this is a losing battle. Like I said, I've got 3 children. If when it all hits the fan, I'll be able to look them in the face and tell them, yeah, I tried everything.
And losing, not lost. Just losing.
Tom,
exactly.
I'll tell you a tale that was told to me yesterday, where a man has had to resign. Well, it's actually constructive dismissal. His supervisor, and it was in the NHS, his supervisor said, when you were on your break, you were talking about Brexit, and we think that's far right. And he basically said, it's nothing to do with you. He said, I was talking to colleagues, and it was in my lunch break. And then they had him for something else. And equally, it wasn't anything extreme. It was something else. And he's been put in a position where he's felt as though his career in the NHS has come to an end, and he's resigned.
Absolutely disgusting.
And
See,
but that's what happens in Wales.
I've seen some people who work with real special needs adults, really bad special needs adults, so you know, a lot of special needs, and I know a couple of them who dared to have an opinion about something, just anything, and it's a chat. It's lunchtime. It's a chat. It is literally non-work chat, and someone mentions Tommy Robinson's name, just his name. They didn't get to say anything else.
Yeah,
That caused screaming and shouting, and you just blew murder. And they never got to say anything more than the name, and they just gave up. And it seems to be the thing, doesn't it? And if they can get away with it, they'll do it. And that's why I love the fact that what's happened with you guys has had that, like, it could have worked, trying to bounce you out of the way.
Yeah,
It could have worked, and I think you guys are aware of that. It's all luck. It's not all luck, but a lot of this is luck, isn't it? You know.
yeah.
And but it hasn't worked, and I'm kind of so excited to see what happens from here, because I'm hoping that you guys are going to be a back washed onto them again, especially like with the accusations that have been made against you, to be able to go after people like the BBC and people like that, and make that retraction, and set the record straight for it as well about you guys. Because the thing is as well, surely if you've got those things against your name and you don't get them cleared, they'll count against you in future, whether they happened or not, because they'll be on your record, surely. So you'll be considered troublemakers before you started.
Exactly, with no proof as well.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
Someone said so. And, you know, this is the point. Imagine now, you know, we live in Swansea, which is a nation of sanctuary, like I said. So there's a lot of people who, if they read a BBC article saying these racists who hate Black Lives Matter and blah, 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 we could have been attacked. You know, we could have had easy, you know, you hear of stabbings all the time in Swansea. You hear of people getting battered. You know, we could have easily been walking down the street and someone put something over the back of our heads because of what the BBC have said. There's a lot of damages that could really come of this.
Their irresponsibility is not counted in all this, is it?
Yeah.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah, because if YouTube do come back and put us on the channel, then the BBC and, you know, all the other channels, they owe us an apology, and they owe it publicly. And
100%.
You know, if they refuse all that, you know, let's say in the next couple of days, if something happened to me or you and we had a kick in, and then the YouTube have admitted liability and they said it was a mistake, and we've then been attacked because of false reports by the BBC, again, you're looking massive. You know, that's massive. That, you know, there should be massive exposure, and that's what we're really relying on, is because we're hoping that this forces action, because if the message gets out there as much as it can, if there's enough people shouting about it, then they can't ignore it. It's us at the moment, and I'm back on Twitter all the time, back and forth to YouTube, and it does carry a bit of weight, because they've got to justify to me why we're banned. But if they've got to justify to loads of people, and they see that, oh shit, okay, they've actually got a big following here, and there's a lot of people unhappy about this, this is going to damage our brand as YouTube and being fair and all that stuff, we better put them back online. You know, that's what we're hoping.
And for anybody who's jumped in late, I just want to say this now. So, would you please either re-upload, restream, share, get this video out as far and wide as possible, just to bring you up to speed. The boys have just been saying about how they, one, have had a YouTube video that took their channel down, actually okayed, and that's in the process of being processed. And they have a strong case against the BBC, and they are on the side of the truth. They have the truth. They have the proof. What we need is to give them a voice. I can't do it by myself. I'm not a big enough channel. We need as many people to spread this around as possible. That way they can't flick it under the carpet just by flicking me away or flicking a few other channels away. We need as many eyes on as possible. So whatever social media you're prepared to share this on, whatever. This won't get your channel taken down. Otherwise, it would affect mine right now. So it won't affect you like that. We're being careful what we're talking about. So please consider re-uploading this, because this isn't just like, this isn't an act of altruism on my part. Although I do like these boys, obviously, but it's for all of us. It's all of us. We all want that free speech. I mean, guys, I'm big on free speech, huge on free speech, and I hate it the moment I see it being stifled like that, or taken away, or I can't stand it.
We were 11 seconds on Facebook.
Yeah, the last live.
The last live. They took us down and there was nothing there.
No, live for 11 seconds. Then I had a message saying that I'm banned. Not for no reason. There was no. You sometimes it tells you posted this post, and the funny thing was the ban was only for going live. So we couldn't. I can share. I can post. I can do whatever I want, but I just can't go live. That's it. And it's from something back in May, so coming up to nearly a year ago, when we weren't even going live on Facebook. So
I'm gonna construct this in the way so that it doesn't get any more shit done. But basically, what they accused you of was having a parachute channel. Sorry, and it's interesting because as a experiment only, we tried to set up a couple of accounts just to see if they would work, and then in your area they don't. How's that possible? I mean, we know it's possible, but how's that possible when they didn't know they were going to be created, or there is a filter actively where you are? On you.
Yeah. Well, there's been
more proof, by the way, that the YouTube algorithm is not one like, this is anyway to anybody who knows algorithms, but it's not one big breathing algorithm. It is manually placed algorithms that do what they're supposed to do. They're bots, basically.
It went as far. So for our studio, let's just say one of our service providers. We can't really say a lot on this part, but let's just say one of the service providers were cut internet, and we were told it was for legal reasons. After a long process, it was turned back on. We never found out why. But for a telecoms company to take you off the internet for legal reasons, that's going to be some serious stuff. There's going to be some serious court injunctions and court orders going in there.
The way they used to do that was by using terrorist laws.
And that's why I say right at the very start of this conversation, when I worked in the MOD, I knew the process, and that process must be duplicated in Wales as it is in Northern Ireland.
The police do it,
and in Scotland, and that is the only reason that they're trying to stitch us up, and get us on some vagary.
Anything they can chuck a charge at.
It'll be like the 1782 Gaslighting Act or something like that. Do you know what I mean? They'll
ancient laws. You were flapping a rug outside the Queen's, outside the palace after midnight.
After midnight on a Friday, It's you can see them in between masturbating over their keyboards to see what spurious of law on a vellum manuscript that they can find. You know what I mean?
I think you guys need to go and buy brown suits, right? Because you can't. It doesn't matter how much shit is thrown at you. You got a brown suit, you can't see it. Right?
That could be our next hoodies.
Definitely. You got a clean reputation, you're done for.
we did contemplate coming on in orange jumpsuits.
Yeah, at one stage.
Yeah.
That wouldn't have
We
been.
did.
Yeah,
He would have had me as well. He'd be like, what the hell? What?
Yeah. Prison bars behind us, probably.
It's me sitting there thinking it's all green screen until one of you gets twatted back around the head by a guard or something.
Yeah. Danny's got an invisible cloak, actually. Or something.
Yeah,
Then we were on Wine Street.
Just the opposite.
Yeah.
I've got super believe,
It was excellent because the copper, he said to us, didn't he? He's like, we're charging you now because there was 3 of you in a house, and the 3 they were referring to was me, Stan, and Danny. And they told us there was 3 of us, but they didn't want to speak to Danny. Obviously, Danny had his invisible.
It's like he semi-acknowledged his presence in life.
Yeah,
It's like it's like they sort of only semi-acknowledged his presence as a sentient being.
Yeah.
It's like a weird Star Trek episode gone wrong.
We must have been honoured.
Yeah, you
to
see,
get their approval, because it must have been our white privilege which made the police only speak to us.
Exactly.
So you can imagine sat in PC Plod's room for the briefing. Right, lads, we're going after the voice of Wales. They are white supremacists. They are racists. And then the next thing, we're stood next to Danny, and of course the whole charade goes. What do we do? What do we do? And you had this Sergeant Fumble, and he was going through the
manual.
The manual.
You heard him say, didn't it? It was really funny because you hear him say, he's like, oh, he's a new sergeant, and we all know in Swansea and South Wales that there's so many people applying for sergeants. It's basically who licks the most asses getting there. So, they don't know the job. They don't know the law. Me, Stan, and Danny are walking up, and the sergeant's there. He's like, right, lads, come with me. And then he says to the other guy, do me a favour, go get the book out of the glove box in the van. And then he's there with his book, his COVID book. And I'm like, it's really simple because, and this is the thing, all people need is the stand up to them. They're police, they're civil servants, they're public servants. They serve you. So if you can stand in front of them and say, sorry, mate, you have no jurisdiction here. You've got no right to tell me where I can and can't go and what I can and can't do and say, and when I'm sitting there reading this off, it's like you're in law is what you cover, not legislation. And he's like this with this book, and he's like, oh, and you're dropping a book, fumbling all over the place. And this is the standard of the police we got. They don't know what they're talking about. They are only following orders, which is something I keep on saying. We've heard that before. Yeah. They're only following orders.
But the irony of all this, Tom, is that the police oath was changed to incorporate human rights.
Yeah, fairness and impartiality.
And of course, when you say, well, can you just tell me what your oath was? And they start to, well, what bit? What?
I saw with Danny when I was with Danny Roscoe at Speaker's Corner. Danny might be able to correct me on exactly what was said, but he asked them about the oath, and they said I think their answer was, we don't need to know it. Don't need to know it. Don't need to know it. It's like, don't need to know it. Oh no, sorry. He asked about Robert Peel, I think it was, and they said they didn't need to know who he was. So okay then, but you did need to take a knee. Yeah, it's worth noting. Don't need to know how your job came to be, or what it's about, what it's for, who it's for, why it's there, and why you get your money. No, but you do need to take the knee. It's always worth remembering. Last year was the most bonkers year going. Can we top it this year? It sounds like Wales will.
Oh yeah, we're leading the charge. I think the only country that's literally there with us is Scotland. With Frankie and
Scotland's just crazy bonkers at the moment. I'm just I don't even want to start with Scotland. I feel bad for Scotland.
Well, you can kind of judge the UK on America. You look at America and you think, right, okay, if something's happening there, it's going to come to the UK. Like George Floyd, we said it straight away. When all that Black Lives Matter kicked off, I said to you straight away, you watch Socialist Worker Party jump on this. This will be in the UK before you know it. And literally the next day it was in the UK. So, you know, I don't know about you, but it's all of the times that you got to keep saying these things. Like, you know, I'm warning you, this is happening, this is coming, and then it comes. You know, and we were saying at the time, the police, you should not be taking any knee to anybody. You know, you should not be doing it. You should not be getting involved in politics, which is what they do. And the sergeant, he's a sergeant in Swansea, told us, we've been briefed, and they've told us that if we want to take the knee, we can, and if we don't have to. It's a personal choice. There should be no choice.
There should be no choice because
that shouldn't have entered into any discussion, conversation. That was an event happened in another country, nothing to do with us, has no bearing on it. It was just such a confected story. It was just completely confected story. And I'll tell you what, when you do, and I won't go on a bash on about this again, but when you do go and you look back at Britain's involvement in slavery, you realise that we should be celebrating pretty much every year that we were the only people brave enough to go and actually fight against it. Ever. But that doesn't get mentioned because it ruins the narrative. It ruins the narrative, especially for. I mean, it really just shows you who's in control. You know, I said to Danny Roscoe, I've still got that Black Lives Matter power fist from the New Year's thing in my head. That's still there, still winding me up. It was like I felt like it was a beacon to other countries. We did it. We made it. We got them. Yeah. Who's next? And it was just like, oh crap. And I remember just a year before that, everyone was like going, Labour Party's done, and I'm like, they get paid, they're never done.
Yeah.
But Antifa's done, they get paid, they're never done.
Yeah.
Oh, Danny's a sicko. Danny's a sicko. Just put that up.
Only Danny Roscoe, ladies and gentlemen. Only Danny Roscoe.
Oh, Danny.
Oh, Danny.
Oh, I love it.
I really can't. I can't. But basically, Danny, I can't complete a line like that because I'm white.
yeah, that's our white privilege.
It's
we're the beneficiaries of restrictions.
Did you see the Charlie Hebdo?
Charlie Hebdo, the Queen
magazine. Have you seen that one?
You know, Charlie Hebdo did the Mohammed thing, didn't he?
Yeah, the guy that got the what do you call it? Newspaper thing that got all shut up and that, and
that's it. I think a couple of people had their heads chopped off, didn't they? For the work there. There was a terrorist attack after that.
Yeah, the policeman got shot and all the rest of it.
That's it. Well, they've come out with another one, and it's
this weekend.
And it's the Queen kneeling on Meghan Markle's neck, and Meghan saying, "I can't breathe." You apologize.
Service will be resumed as normal.
It's fucking so fucking sick. It's good.
Yeah, it is. And you know what, right?
Oh shit!
The whole room terrible with you.
I'm sorry. I wasn't expecting that. Oh man, that was so good.
I was shocked. I was shocked when I saw it because this is the thing.
But that's the right to free speech.
It's that crazy cartoon image inside my head. I can't get people to understand. They think it's like some racist thing, and it's like it's a stupid image it puts in your head.
And that's just it. That you've encapsulated what free speech is about. It's the right to offend and be offended, and at the same time, if you think that's funny then it is.
Yeah.
And the point is that Meghan Markle is saying, I can't breathe. You know, it's that.
Yeah. I'm trying to find the picture. I am to show.
Oh dear, that's made my. I'll tell you what, that's made the podcast for me.
Oh, well, then.
That's absolutely brilliant. I honestly hadn't heard that. Yeah.
I don't even know if I see it. I can't see it. The green screen's not. The green screen's picking it up. I gotta send it to you now.
He's going to send it.
But you know, it's interesting because there was some people on our side of the argument who were saying that it's disgusting, and they were saying that, you know, Charlie, you know, that's disgusting. They should not do that about, you know, the Queen, especially with everything that's going on right now. But the point of freedom of speech is, if you're willing to know that what you're putting out there can offend some people, you've got to be willing to accept that what other people out there may offend you. But that's how it goes. You know, nothing is done anything.
Dark humor. Dark humor is dark, but it's still humor.
Exactly.
And it still can come from a really good place. I mean, if we, the fact that we even have to explain that to grown adults in this day and age is something, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Like, where the joke comes from matters, you know?
Yeah, it's irreverent, and that's how you've got to look at it. You've got to think, oh, that's a bit near the knuckle, but it's allowed.
It's a joke.
It's a joke. You know,
Ricky Gervais is he's had a vaccine and stuff lately, so I question him a little bit, but he's nailed on the head with everything. You know, if you don't like the content, just move on.
Yeah.
You know, there's content for you somewhere else.
Yeah.
You know, you don't like your content. You know what I mean? Like, you know, that's what he would say.
They've got to have that control, though, haven't they? They can't just leave it. It's like, it's not just that their eyes are offended by it. It's like they've decided for you that everybody else's eyes should be as well.
Yeah.
It's that total. Who the flipping hell gets the? Oh, fuck it. Who the fuck gets the arrogance? Gets the fucking arrogance to think that they have the right to think on behalf of other people like that. What an arrogant piece of shit you got to be to think like that. And all you got to be is on the left.
Yeah. And do you know, this is exactly, I said to Danny, this is exactly how I would be feeling if I was a black man with Black Lives Matter. As a black man, I would be sitting there thinking, wait a minute. Why am I being told how to be black by a lot of white people? You know, that's right. Why am I being told I should be offended by a lot of white people? Do you know what I mean? That's the whole problem. I find that offensive that there's white people telling black people that they should be annoyed about something. You know, are they not educated enough to figure it out themselves? Is that what they're insinuating? Or are they just using?
That's how I take it. That's how I take it. I mean, I don't know how black people take it, but I know I've asked like Danny Roscoe and actually a few other people, and all of them have said pretty much the same thing. When I've asked them, how do you feel when Antifa or someone whoever does a spray thing in your name and they're white or whatever else? Nobody's impressed. Not a single soul. No matter whether they're left, right, nobody's impressed with them. It's these they're the worst. They're the worst type, aren't they? The soulless white people that hate themselves but don't even really know who they are to hate themselves with because they've lost all that. It's like I don't even know how to describe them really. Just I know the term people like to use is sheep, but honestly, sheep can be used for many things, as you guys know. You know, so. Yeah, it's not good. It's not good. But so you guys for the time being have transitioned. I've got obviously it going across the bottom of the screen here, but these things can often go unnoticed because I've done it in the worst colours I could have picked actually. But you guys are on Telegram / Voice of Wales, Twitter @Voice of Wales, Facebook / VO Wales, and then please steal the stream, everyone. But those are the places to find these guys now whilst they're waiting on finding out what's going on with YouTube. Now, obviously, you guys are going to keep people updated, I presume, on what's going on there. are you planning to add to that? Is that your like final mix of what you're gonna stick with now, or are you playing with things, or what's the score?
Yeah, so the ideal, the ultimate goal is we've got a website. Now, the website, it was literally, we were almost ready to put it live when YouTube took the videos down. But unfortunately, with the website, all the videos were just links. So because YouTube went and all the videos went, so did everything on the website. So we had to quickly take that back, and we try to rebuild it again now. The ultimate aim is for us to be on a website and have our own website with our own comments and our own set times. You know, we've always been 7:15 Tuesday and Thursday. So that's where we are at the moment on Facebook, on our pages and our groups, and on Twitter. But at the end goal is the website. We want a website where we know everyone can come along. We don't have to worry about being shut down by anybody else. So that's the ultimate goal. It's just, sadly, it's taken a long time to get there. It's surprising how much YouTube controls. If you lose YouTube, like I feel really bad because Danny's been releasing a load of videos, lately. I'm only seeing them when they get put on Telegram because I can't, my phone, I can't get on YouTube on my phone. This
I've been
Google
trying
feature
to
is not
explain
available.
to people for the best part of 2 years that just because, and it's not a jab at people, but just because you feel mildly technically comfortable, or because you personally don't mind using different social media networks, you're actually in the minority. And the majority comes on, and I've spoken to loads of people who have verified this and said, that's me, that's me, that's me, who will, just like they used to use Sky News or whatever, they come on, they check what's on YouTube. It's either on YouTube or it ain't. Yeah. And if it ain't on YouTube, it don't get watched. Simple as that. And until they take us all off, all this platform falls, that's where it's going to be. I wouldn't be here now if it wasn't for the fact that even if it gets to the point where I can barely talk about anything, I can at least use this as a mainstream roadmap to my other stations. It's at least worth that. I mean, that's pretty crap if it comes to that, but it's at least worth that, And it's the reason why I've kind of kept it, because I'm finding myself, I don't know about you, I don't know where you guys were with all this, but I'm finding myself having to self-censor more, because it's not a case of self-censoring to stay on someone's good side. It's a case of going, oh, so if I say that word 2 more times, I'm going to lose my channel.
Well, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And we say it quite a lot. Like, I've got to remind Stan every now and again, because once you start giving accurate figures on a particular disease, then
medical misinformation, even though it's accurate, and
absolutely. Well, Hearts of Oak, they were on a little cheeky suspension because of medical misinformation, even though it's factual information. Yeah. And it was something to do with, they spoke to Anne-Marie about child grooming, and it was classed as hate speech.
Yeah.
And their argument is, and rightly so, how can it be hate speech when we're talking against pedophilia? And so hopefully they'll get their channel back. But it's the little wins, it's the little teeny wins that you get. Oh, yeah. Like in Tesco's, the manager coming up to us, apologizing to us profusely. I'm really sorry. We will retrain our security. Things like that are the little things that people need to be doing.
I agree with you. And this is something we've been saying as well, is that if everybody does a small act of civil disobedience in terms of the craziness that's going on, that actually adds up a lot. And I don't know about if you guys are going anywhere on the 20th of March, but I think we'd be a bit remiss not to just mention that quickly. And it's just that a lot of people are coming together at the weekend, aren't they? I don't know if you're planning to be part of that or not. I would imagine probably so. In terms of,
there's so many things going on the 20th, and it seems to be the day.
A lot, yeah.
Like, there's stuff in Cardiff, there's stuff in North Wales, stuff in London. There's other stuff going on as well. Like, it's an anti-racism day all over the UK, and there's so much stuff going on.
There is.
So yeah, we just gonna have to have a look and see, what's Because I'm hearing, I don't know how true this is, but that potentially in London it may be pushed because there's so much else going on the same day. I think they're leaving it a bit short now, so I'm guessing it's still going to go ahead on the 20th.
Yeah.
But and the 20th, and what I've seen is everywhere I look on Facebook or on Telegram, everyone's talking about the 20th. So it seems like.
But the thing is, it's worldwide, isn't it? So be hard pushed to change the bloody date now, wouldn't they? I suppose.
Yeah,
but
it really would.
You know, could you just check? Oh God, can you imagine the nightmare? But yeah, so no, you're right though. There is so much going on that week. I even thought at one point, I thought, shit, I'll just take a ride through London and then back the other way because I'll catch a few different things going on, and see kind of what was the most kind of interesting. But no, I the reason I mention it is because I mean I've never been. I say part of something. I've never been. Well, you are part of it, aren't you? I've been involved in anything where, like, I've been to demos and they're standing up for this cause or that cause. I've never been to anything that's attempted to do anything on a global scale. And I actually think, because I'm so dead against this lockdown, I can't tell you. I actually really think that it's. I've been groaning for weeks that nobody's doing enough, and I actually really think this is like the first good piece of news that we've had. That just the very fact that it's global. It doesn't matter how many people turn up. The fact that it's global, as long as somebody turns up every place they say they're going to, you know. I mean, I've just found out only just tonight they're actually doing one in Southampton. They don't do F all in Southampton because they're a bunch of pussies, but they're even doing one in Southampton. So I'm well chuffed that they're actually doing that. So
football as well. That's what I heard. But.
They're worse than you've heard. They're worse than you've heard.
I'll give you a second piece of good news because you mentioned right at the beginning that are you activists or journalists? We are journalists, but we also put our money where our mouth is. And we're both standing in the Senedd elections in Wales for UKIP.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
that is interesting.
So it's going to be funny that the things like taking us off YouTube and trying to get us banned on Facebook. If they didn't do any of that,
that's complicated then, doesn't it?
Yeah,
that gets very complicated. So how? I mean, I wonder. I mean, you guys have done all the research on this. I haven't, but I wonder, is there like, okay, so like, when talk radio was removed, right? You might be able to educate me here on this. When talk radio was removed, the reason I heard, the only reason that they were allowed back on was because the government regulated. If that's true, is there any way that you could go about attaining the same kind of credentials, or is it just no?
It's really difficult, isn't it? Because if you want to try and get into bed with the mainstream, you've got to be vouched for by the mainstream.
Yeah.
So we'd have to go to online and say, could you vouch for us, please? And we know, by the time
we've got a plan B though. We plan to broadcast just outside the channel, the Bristol Channel. On a boat.
I keep saying we need a metaphorical pirate ship. We really do. It's the one thing. If you look at the terrorist laws and that are being used against us now, it's the same thing that happened with the file sharing in the noughties, and they use terrorist laws against that. And if you look at what's happening now, it's all the same laws, the same methods, except using them against sites. They're using them against activists now, which is insane in itself. And I think if they're gonna be using things from the past like that that they've done so well, we should be looking at the only things that survived, which were things like the Pirate Bay, which survived, not just survived. Even when they found it drilled into the side of a mountain, it wasn't enough to close it down. Which is just James Bond for unreal. you know. But imagine if some big sponsor did come on, set up a media company, or created something that was, this is what we need to do, right? You know these SOE tools or whatever they're called, right? All they are is a way of paying for what you can do on the internet by yourself if you're not lazy. We should spread yourself everywhere. And you can use that same system to get stuff out. And I've always said since starting this, if we all acted like a network of broadcasters, the reach, the pull, the push, we could get one message from one group of people who've got no relation to another group of people in a day, in less than a day. And I think what you said earlier on is bang on, and that's that you said that time has been whittling down people. And now you got the people. There's actually a kind of community forming there now. And I think there's a lot of belief and a lot of. I think. Well, I know. Me for one, I will go out fighting for certain channels. Pretty much all of them, really, when it comes down to free speech. You know. And as I said to you before, the other thing is, I just wish YouTube get rid of a lot of us at once, because I know we'd all end up on the same place. It's only when you're forced to choose that you choose.
Exactly. We wanted to come off YouTube anyway, didn't we? It was always a plan. We were just forced rather than making the decision. I think that now, obviously, if we were to be put back on YouTube, I think they'd be a little bit more cautious about how they treat us, purely because they've seen the backlash and they've seen that we do research and we do our due diligence on every single thing that we do. So they're going to know that they have to make sure that if they're banning us, it's justified, because they you know, if we get the YouTube channel back, I'm hoping that would double again. And if that doubles again, that's a massive one of them to the Welsh Assembly and to the BBC, and they're in a rock and a hard place here. You know, are they gonna help the BBC and S4C and all that, or are they gonna do what's right? And we're going to find out soon enough.
But you, if you look at what's happened to us, we've had the police, we've had government, we've had councils, we've had your PayPal hacked. My PayPal attemptedly hacked. Mobile phones definitely hacked.
Banned from shopping centres.
Banned from shopping centres.
Banned from Wetherspoons.
That was a historical mistake.
I just can't believe even. Sorry, I know I'm going all the way back round to where we started, but I just can't believe that story you told me today. You know, just with the being banned for. It's just. When you say you can't write this, right? That's an overused phrase. But what the stuff that you've been talking about this time and last time, you really can't. It's like a carry-on movie, but actually funny. It is. It's insane. And all I've got to do to experience this is go to Wales.
Well, I'd love to. It's a shame because I'm very proud to be Welsh. It's a shame that I can see that after these elections, if things don't change, I could be possibly looking at relocating. And
really?
I don't want to do that. You know?
Seriously?
Yeah. Ideally, if I had my way, it'd be out to the UK. I'd be going to Poland or something like that, somewhere that actually look after their people and put their people first, because that's where it should be. But Wales is really going downhill, very, very sharply, very dangerously, and it needs to change. It really does. Scotland, whatever happens in Scotland is followed by Wales. That sex education bill was in Scotland. It came down here. It's in England as well. There's so much stuff that is coming our way, and it's literally only us talking about it. And all we want to do is tell people. All we want to do is let people know this is happening. But when you branded every name under the sun by every media channel out there, people think your name is mud anyway.
Exactly. That's true. But I'll tell you what, though, it's becoming a badge of honor. It's becoming a badge of honor in a way, because now they've called two too many people have been called racist, too many people have been called bigot, too many people have been called this, too many people have been called Nazi, and now it's a badge of honor because it just means all it means is you've been smeared by the far left. That's all it means anymore. Oh, you've been attacked by the far left as well. Then that's all it means now. And I suppose we can all at least rest a little bit easier that the word Nazi, bigot, and racist means absolutely tossle, unless you're Jeremy Corbyn who hates all Jews. But that's another whole story. But yeah, I'm sorry I had to finish.
Excellent.
But no, I really hope you keep us updated, will you, about your YouTube channel? Let us. I mean, obviously we'll be looking out for you, but keep us updated. Let us know. Again, what I will do as well is, what I'm going to ask you guys is there any last things you want to say, or is there any messages or anything else you want to get out there? Because I'm going to post your details just into the chat as well.
It's the great thanks of people like yourself and Danny and the other YouTubers, Paz, who have, like you say, we are a small family now, and what we're trying to do is nothing. It's not racist. What we're trying to do. It's not. It's not extreme. Is the in word now super straight?
Oh yes, yeah.
God.
It's none of that. It's trying to defend our birthright and trying to defend the good people of Britain, and that is they come in all shapes, all sizes, and certainly all colours.
Yeah.
And the problem that the left have is they can't label you, and that's what they can't do.
Yeah.
We are truth tellers. And that's all we are.
Yeah. Journalists, as Stan said a little while ago, the only people we harass are politicians, the police, and the council. And that's what a journalist should do.
Yeah.
They should be asking questions, not, saying, oh, hi, Swansea Council, this is the article we've written about you. Do you want to read it first? And then if there's anything you need changing, let us know and we'll change it.
Yeah.
Because that's what Wales Online do. Whereas a good media station would be saying, hang on a minute, Councillor Walton, you're literally claiming 42 pence on expenses when you live walking distance from the county hall. Is this true? We were doing that. We were exposing their expenses. You had some councillors spending £1,000 a year on a new iPad and a computer. Computers are guaranteed for a year.
This is exactly what you've kind of led the way there, really, because it's things like that. People seem to think they need to go for the biggest story, the most, and it's like, no, you just need to go for the truth. The truth, and most of it, it'll provide the rest, because look at how much mad shit's going on in our country. Just dig up the truth about it, and the rest will take care of itself. Like I say, hopefully we've now got enough of us where we can just keep like a wave almost, just spreading information backwards and forwards. Not like an echo chamber, but literally like a wave from place to place. So I really do wish you guys the best of luck. I'll be honest with you, you've made fucking fans out of me. I think you're fucking brilliant. I can't wait to see how things go for you. I do hope they go well though. And I will be watching. And if YouTube don't let you get back on, we're gonna do like a once a minute show about them until they let you back on. All right.
Excellent.
Brilliant.
Excellent.
Tom, you remind me when you fell off your perch then laughing of Johnner's in Test Match Special, where something had happened in the cricket box and Johnson couldn't stop laughing, and he was just laughing and laughing and laughing, and it's still on YouTube. It's still on there, but so send us a clip of you falling off your perch in the studio going,
you guys got me good, I must admit. To the person asking the question, I am bemused that nobody has asked me this question until now. I have been scratching my head for days, even weeks now, wondering why has nobody in the age demographic that we are noticed that I'm playing Command and Conquer Red Alert 2 music at the beginning in my podcast, and nobody's noticed.
I noticed.
Frank Caplecchi, his name is. You noticed. You noticed,
I
yeah?
noticed. I said I love the intro. I spent a lot of time on Command and Conquer Red Alert 2 when I was a young lad. I love the bit of
Good
skirmish over and over again.
Good man.
This is
See, these are my kind
so
of
this
people.
guy here speaking is Ted. That's one of our mods. Ted's a legend. He's been sorting everything out for us. So special thank you to Ted.
Yeah, and so yeah, Ted. So that's Frank. I think I can't pronounce his name properly, but Frank Capella or something like that. And it's I think it's the Red Alert music. It's actually called the Hell March, which is after the actual Chinese Hell March. I think it's Chinese, isn't it? One where they literally they march. They march like they're going to stamp on your skull. It's supposed to scare away foes or whatever. It's where they got the idea for the name for that song from. It's pretty brutal, but yeah. So that's where it's from. It's the Hell March from that. So I just chopped it in the middle. So anyway, that's way more of an explanation than you needed. So I hope that was worth it, guys. Any last messages? Anything you got to get out there?
I would just say that in Wales, obviously there's elections coming in May. There is literally only one party that's fighting for all of the things that the Labour government has pushed through the back door without your vote. That's UKIP. I am standing for UKIP. Stan is standing for UKIP. We would never do that if it wasn't as important as it is. Not that we wouldn't stand for UKIP, we wouldn't stand in general. So it's not something I ever wanted to do. It's not something, this camera stuff isn't what I wanted to do, but we've been compelled to do it.
Yeah.
And we are so confident in the party that we're willing to put our neck on the line and stand for that party. Wales needs to change. If you live in England, obviously imagine living in England under Jeremy Corbyn or Keir Starmer. And that's what we have got in Wales. So if you are in Wales and you need to change, vote UKIP.
And I think something we said on offline earlier on about about making no, I'm not going to remember what it was now, and I'm not going to hold up the end of the show with it. So we start. I'll tell you what it is, right? We start doing the bloody podcast when we're having conversations, because we both try and do like a 1 minute message, and it ends up being like 5 or 8.
Yeah.
yeah. And then I'm like just about to go, right, I'm going to call it a day. Then I go, oh no, there was one thing I want to ask. But I'm going to leave. I'm going to say good luck. Stay in touch. Let us all know how things are going. And no matter what happens, we will keep funneling for you and getting messages out for as long as you need it. Hopefully not for too much longer, but you know. Good luck with everything you're doing, guys. We love you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody, so much for watching. And please, you've heard the reasons now. Please, will you share at least the part where these guys are talking about everything that they can prove and that's happened? Please share and get that out for them. It was one way of putting YouTube and people like them under pressure. So please do that. That'd be really, really appreciated. And I'm looking at the wrong camera. Really, really appreciated. And that's about it. Guys, thanks for joining me.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, everybody. Thank you very much for your support. Honestly, really appreciate it.
Thank you.
No problem. Thanks, everyone, for watching. I am Thomas Fury. This is Voice Wales, and I am calling it a day now, ladies and gentlemen.
Welcome to the desert.